Hi guys. Hi. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm just gonna get started. I mean, why not? So I just want to give you guys let you all know, because I want to be transparent. Representative Stamps won't be able to make this live. He had a few complications that came up that I really want him to see that through. But I still wanted to talk about this with you all because it's just so important, you guys. And, this is Watered Down, and I'm going to water it down for you guys. So the questions that I had for him, I just went ahead and did my own research and was like, I need some answers. So it's only four questions that I really had, and I'm just going to break those down. Hi you guys. Okay, so the first question, what's really going on regarding the water crisis in Jackson? So the first one, Jackson experienced heavy rainfall August of 2022. Hi you guys. Jackson experienced heavy rainfall in August 2022. The heavy rainfall caused system failure at the city's largest water treatment plant. So that led to over 150,000 people without access to clean water. So as I did my research, they also said the pressure, personally, this is something that I've experienced myself when I went to Jackson last year of just the water pressure not being up to par. I remember, trying to take a shower and there was literally no water coming out of the faucet because, the water pressure was low. So the water pressure was restored, but there was a lack of clean water. So this brings us to the question, why is their water system lacking proper structure? And so I'm like, okay, what's the problem? Why can't you all restore the water quality? Like, what's going on with the water system? So you had to take a closer look at history. So that brought me to my second question of how long has this crisis been going on, and have legislators known about this all along? So, a lot of times we see stories in the news and we're like, okay, that's, we need to know about it. Hi, you guys. We need to know about it. But in reality, it's been going on longer than we visually see it on the news. So I was like, how long has this been going on? And so some facts that I got were Jackson has been experiencing water system issues since 1922. So this dates back farther than what we've seen since August. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of history. So during the late 50s, early 60s, during the civil rights movement, you all know the civil rights movement. We talked about it in civics class if you were listening in class when you were younger. But the late 50s, early 60s, Jackson was predominantly a white city. The white population took up 57.5% of the city's demographic. That was brought to me by estimated population trend in Mississippi, 1950 through 1958, by George L. Wilbur and Carl T. Robbins in the Scholars Junction brought by Mississippi State University. So that was the demographic then in the 50s and 60s. Now, currently, 2022. Hi, you guys. Now, currently in 2022, the demographic has drastically shifted. 82.5% Black and 16% white. So I'm like, okay, what happened? And I have family in Jackson, and, I always knew, okay, Jackson's a Black city. Hi. But I didn't really know the history behind it of why it was the capital and the infrastructure was just not there. There was no funding for infrastructure. When you're driving down Jackson streets, there's potholes, you come off the highway, the maintenance isn't just up to par. So I'm wondering, why is the capital being treated like this? So because in the 50s and 60s, I know you guys probably know, but the Brown versus Board of Education decision, having everyone integrate you know, you guys know, remember, if you were exactly environmental racism, back in the day when that happened, Brown versus Board of Education, they were saying, hey, you guys need to integrate, Black students should be able to go to school with white students. And unfortunately, because of that decision, a lot of the white population in Jackson left Jackson, and they moved to suburbs and cities right outside of Jackson. So as you're moving out, right, as you move out of the city, this also changes the tax income. So, the amount of dollars that are being put into the system has diminished a lot. So that's another thing that I had to research also, but I want to give you guys a quote that father of environmental justice, Robert Buehler, said. He's a professor of urban planning and environmental policy and a director of the Buehler Center for Environmental and Climate Justice at Texas Southern University. So he did an interview on this also, and I was like, wow, this is extremely important, and I'm glad he, such prominent community leader, spoke out about it. But he said, it is indicative of a larger problem, and the problem is basically looking at which communities get resources for infrastructure and which ones get left behind. And when cities begin to transition, the demographic shifts from predominantly white to predominantly Black or brown, you start to see problems occurring in terms of getting state funding to support infrastructure. You can see this theme of low funding through water, school, housing, but in this case, in Jackson's case, Robert Buehler, in this case, it just happened to be water. And we have to make sure, he also said we have to make sure dollars flow in a way that's not based on race or geography. So that's something he said. And so he's obviously saying, and what I got from that interview was that, hi, you guys, what I got from that interview was that, a lot of the resources in the community are not there anymore. They don't care about Jackson. They don't care about resources being put back into the city because their dollars aren't there anymore. So these are the facts, and unfortunately they point to a sad reality that's happening all around the country and are being worsened by climate change. So I want to water some things down. So I'm going to give you guys environmental injustice and then also environmental racism, because I want you guys to know the terms and the difference between the two terms. So environmental injustice is a systemic problem brought by the alienation of economically disadvantaged groups affected by environmental hazards. So this is an example of an environmental injustice. I don't know if you guys know, but water is a right. It's a human right to have water. And these people are being negated that right. And me and my dad were talking about it, and he said, there's some people literally right outside of Jackson, jumping in their swimming pools. Meanwhile, there are people in Jackson that don't have enough water to bathe. And that's a problem. Hi. And so that's environmental injustice. So environmental racism is racial discrimination in environmental policy that targets communities of color for toxic waste facilities and other pollutants. So you see this happening all around the country right now. You guys know about Flint, Michigan, Benton Harbor. You all know these are environmental injustices, but also the core of it is environmental racism. I rarely see predominantly white communities without water for very long. So this is an issue that, we need to focus on. And I think climate change is definitely exacerbating these issues, because as you have climate change depleting natural resources, these people, I'm sorry, but I'm a Black woman. I probably will be in a community where they are not going to, okay, well, we don't have those resources for you, and I'm going to be negated those human rights, right? So as climate change are depleting those natural resources, there's going to be an influx of environmental injustices happening all around the country, all around the world. So this is definitely something that a lot of people need to be more aware of. Now, I don't have the answers of what can be done for Jackson, unfortunately, but I do know the power we all possess in voting. Jackson is a blue city in a red state. You know, and, you know, I love chopping it up with my dad because we really get into the nitty gritty of the conversation of, you know, yes, it's a blue city, but in a red state, if you're asking for funding, you're probably not going to get that funding. If you're asking as a city commissioner, you're not going to get that funding you need from a state legislator. If the state is saying, we don't care about your community, you're not going to get that funding that you need to give clean water to your community, to have the proper school funding that you need to have your kids a great education so they can further their education. Maybe if they want to go to college or graduate school, it's not going to be there. Or even housing. You know, I've seen instances where people's roofs aren't, you know, equipped for the heavy precipitation. So all of these things comes back to people voting. And I know a lot of times people are like, oh, well, you know, voting it's not working. It's a collective, you know, one vote can change things. Sadly, those on the lower rungs of the ladder and that's true. The people at the bottom will suffer more because, you know, the people at the top, they're going to take care of themselves. You know, they're going to take care of their communities. They're going to make sure their communities have the resources they need. And they're going to show up. Recently, I worked in government and I got to see firsthand how important it is for people to show up to your commissioners. They have a Board of County Commissioners event meeting almost like twice a month. And when people show up, and I've seen the power when people show up, when you show up and you tell your legislators and your political leaders, this is not what we want for our community. You guys need to do better. They listen. And I just, you know, I'm gonna leave it off with this. I am passionate about environmental justice because I know how important it is to live in a healthy environment. It's important and a human right, to have access to clean water, clean air to breathe in, trees to shade from the sun. These all constitute for a healthy and decent life, something we all have a right to. When these rights are denied, we see the ripple effects of what that does to a community over time. A generation is, you know, they not only lose trust in the people that are leading them, but they also are born with health issues. So this is extremely important. I suggest you guys to do further education. You know, I am passionate about this and I like watering it down for you all, but I want this platform to also be a place where you're aware. It sparks awareness in you so you can then go and educate yourself to then advocate for yourself. So I hope you guys liked it. Thank you so much for being patient yesterday. I'm sorry Representative Stamps couldn't be on today, but I'm so thankful you guys joined. And we have some stuff in the comments. Decision at the local level affect us immediately, like next week. Yes, we've got to vote often and always. Yes, please. I posted some things about voting. If you guys don't, if you've changed your name, if you've changed your address, if you've changed your party affiliation, you need to register again to update all of that information. I believe Orlando's or Orange County is, I want to say October 11th. So it's coming up very soon. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we have some questions. What made you passionate about environmental justice? Oh, well, I was a biology major and I think I took a class called ethnobotany, and I loved it, but I saw how much I love the relationship humans have with the environment more so than learning about the anatomy of a plant. So I think I started doing that, and then I got a scholars program position with Doris Duke Conservation Scholars at the University of Washington. Shout out to my UW family. And I really learned about environmental justice, but then also just the importance of diversity and conservation. I worked with an organization called TPL, and I got to do a lot of environmental justice work and more so tailored to tribal land acquisition. And I think as just more information that I got, the more I grew hungry for the content, and I just did a lot of educating for myself, research. I did a lot of research that I really liked. And then that's how I came here, environmental justice. And I think, one, I will say, this is a field that I don't see a lot of, and a lot of me in it. You know, I don't see a lot of Black women in it. There are a lot of Black women, but there can be more. Or just women in general. I think this is a field where you really have to map your own way. It's not like being a doctor or a lawyer. You know, there's a path already set out for you. You know, you can do A, B, and C, and you're there. Being an environmental justice advocate, communicator, there's so many nuances that, that happen or that take place that you have to really find your niche. So yeah, that's how I got into it. Why do you think Jackson can't get help? Why don't I think I believe Jackson can get help. I believe that Jackson just has right now the infrastructure and the dollars that are going into it aren't being used for revitalization. I really believe that Jackson can be do you know how long before things change? I don't know how long before things change. I believe there are some temporary solutions that will be taking place. But something that I was researching is that's infrastructure that has been negated for years, for decades. And I think a revitalization is definitely needed, and there needs to be money that's inputted into just solely the water system. I believe there is an act that is taking place that is giving money to Jackson. Hi, you guys. But yeah, I don't know how long before. That's something that would be great to research for yourself, and let me know, please, in the comments if you guys know when they will be able to get changed. But I believe Jackson can be better than it ever was. I have family in Jackson, and I love Jackson deeply, and I want to see it prosper. And I also want to see community leaders that are willing to step up to the plate. So yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you have any questions later on, just shoot me a message. How's your family in there holding up? My family's holding up very well, from what I know. Sometimes your family doesn't tell you everything, but from what I know, my family's doing quite well. Thank you so much for asking. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope to see you guys next on episode 7. It's a mystery. I love that about Watered Down. I never know the next topic, but I'm super excited to be on this journey with you guys. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.